Hello, welcome to Looking Up, a channel to inspire you in your work and in your life. I've always wanted to do a series on celebrating autumn. Every year I get super inspired by all the reels and videos that I see of fall foliage and just cute little towns in New England and just people enjoying fun fall activities. And so this year I took a solo road trip to do a couple of things that were on my bucket list for fall. I still have some more to go. And in going through the footage, I realized that I need to break it into several videos just so I can share a little bit more about each of the places and the footage a little bit. I thought it might be a little overwhelming as a large video. I just enjoy this time of year so much. It's such a beautiful, peaceful time of year, and it feels like a great chance to restart and to change habits and stuff like that. I'm inspired to want to go out and do things more, which might seem ironic because I feel like a lot of people feel that way about summer, but I feel less inclined to go out and explore places because summer has been really hot lately and I just don't enjoy it as much. I just try to hide from the sun and I don't love the hot, sweltering heat. So fall is definitely more my vibe. And I just think that the foliage, there's something so magical about it. And so on this trip, I kind of broke it up over two different trips. So the first place that you'll see is just something that's not far from here, which is the Great Jack-o'-lantern Blaze up in Croton-on-Hudson in the Hudson Valley area. I had gone at least 3 times to see Blaze, and I remember the first time I went, it was just entirely magical. It was just so atmospheric and delightful. It's been kind of a tradition to go every year now. I go with a couple of my friends, and this year was extra cool because we went on a weeknight and they had limited $20 tickets. It was a great price. A lot of times Halloween events can be $40 or $50 per activity, and it gets a little cost prohibitive. So that was just really nice that it was only $20. I'm looking at my pictures as I'm talking, so if you see me looking away, that's what it is. I'm just refreshing my memory. But basically, when you walk into the Blaze, you see this cool banner sign that says the Great Jack-o'-lantern Blaze, and it changes colors, and there's fog, and then there's all the trees and colored lights kind of set up the atmosphere really nice. Every year they change it up a little bit. It's just interesting to see what changes there are, and we kind of spot like, oh, that used to be over here and now they moved it over here. So if you're familiar with the Blaze, that is one little fun thing that you can notice. And also what new additions that they have, because they do try to change things each year. But the general idea with Blaze is they're hand-carved pumpkins. I think not all live pumpkins, some are craft pumpkins for them to last the duration of the season. I believe Blaze runs through part of November. For practical purposes, not everything is like a live pumpkin. Still remarkable, and it's still a great show of artistry in the designs. I'm not going to talk through the whole video because it's nice just to enjoy it, but if I see anything, that needs maybe some clarification or some fun tidbit, I'll add it to it. This was the Celtic design section. It's really pretty.
That was fun. What are these guys? Are they bats? Oh, they're creepy eyes. Bird specialist the whole time. She was like, "Did you know that dinosaurs are really especially didn't have like migration patterns around the lights of New York City?" Like, yeah. But I've heard that he was the guy from Wingo Wingo. America. I can turn the flash on.
And that's our way out of the Blaze, the way we came in. So highly recommend it if you haven't been there before. Again, I believe for this season, all the $20 tickets during the weeknights are probably sold out. But there is a Blaze also on Long Island. I don't think they had the $20 tickets for the Long Island location, but this was the Hudson Valley location. So that's something to consider. Although the pricing is slightly different between the two locations, I highly recommend it. And I just always have a great time every time I go. So then on a completely different day, over the first weekend of October, I took a solo trip up to Salem, Massachusetts, and then Ogunquit, Maine. And then in a separate video, I'm going to be showing Woodstock, Vermont, because I took so many pictures and videos from there that I just decided to make it a separate thing. But I have some tips and things that I'll be talking about for these different places. So next, I headed up to Salem, Massachusetts. Now, I know from everything that I've read that it is insane there in terms of the crowds in October. I knew that going in. I would have liked to gone in September, but I just couldn't coordinate it with my schedule. So I'm like, well, maybe it won't be that bad. Early October on a Friday. It was crowded. And there's a lot to do in Salem. There are so many tours that you can take. There's a lot of museums that you can get tickets for. And again, what I was saying earlier is that, everything adds up. It could be like $40 per activity. And then you really kind of have to pick which ones you're going to do. So I would just say kind of research that ahead of time and get your tickets ahead of time if it's something that needs that, because a lot of things sell out. I mean, there was plenty of things like where there were still tickets available or tours available because there's just so many things to do in Salem. But I think the popular attractions definitely sell out in advance. So the one thing that I picked, because I was like, I know this is going to be overwhelming and, I'm just going to kind of get my lay of the land and I'll have to come back another time when it's not so intense and just get a better feel of Salem. So I just picked one activity and I double checked the schedule online. It said, we're open except on federal holidays. And I'm like, okay, great. October 4th is not a federal holiday. And they were not open. So I got up at 3 a.m. because I wanted to finish my drive and get the tickets went on sale for the Salem Witch House right at 8 a.m. and online. So I was in a guest rest stop, pulled off, just trying to buy tickets on my computer. And I was it was 8:01, 8:02. I'm like, okay, I don't see them uploading for the day. But in any case, tickets did not go on sale. and I did not get to see it, which is kind of a bummer because it was the only thing ticketed that I planned for, but I know I will go back. It was just a bummer that that was the one thing that I picked. But some nice surprises. I knew the big things kind of to expect, but it's always different when you're looking at something through a video or through somebody else's perspective. And then when you're actually there yourself, you get a better sense of the land and what's there. And I'll just kind of go through some of my favorite places. So it seemed like most things opened at 9. There might have been places open before then, maybe some coffee shops or whatever, but I think getting there early is advised. If you're still planning to go this season, maybe try to go during the week, although I just think October is going to be intense. So bring a lot of patience, because like even at 9 a.m., one of the first coffee shops that I walked past had 50 people waiting. That's so not my energy. So I found myself just doing a walkthrough of the town, and then I was just drawn more to the outskirts of Salem because it's not a big town. It's totally walkable, but I get overwhelmed in large crowds. And it's just not as enjoyable when there's like a ton of people. I feel like I didn't take as much video as I would have liked to in Salem, but that's just my preference. I don't like when things are super chaotic. And so I definitely have to go back when it's August or early September or like on a weekday where it's just a little more my pace. But in any case, I still enjoyed walking around and getting to explore it for the first time. It's a very interesting city, and in every capacity, they own up to that this is the witch city, and the energy of that carries throughout the whole town, which is really, really interesting. One of the first places that opened was this resale shop right on Essex Street. And they had a lot of cute Halloween decor that you can buy. There's some cute shirts as well. And yeah, it was just fun walking around. I just, it was not super crowded, and that was perfect. Lots of like homemade items as well. And then lots of really cool candle shops and gift shops. And then there was this French bakery right near the beginning. Okay, it was called Caramel. Or Caramel. I think it's Caramel. And this is a picture of Essex Street, like kind of as the beginning, as it starts, like all the shops start. You can see not too crazy yet. Just give it 30 minutes and then there's people everywhere. But it was very peaceful at the early beginning part of the day. This was a real cemetery outside one of the churches. As I was starting to get overwhelmed by people, there was the Witch City Mall, and I kind of popped in there and found a coffee shop that had like one person in front of me. I'll list the name of it below, and it was just like so nice to just breathe and have space. My tea was delightful. So anyway, I was walking through the mall, and it was definitely not as crowded inside, which I was surprised. And they have a lot of cool shops. These are some videos from that. This is walking outside. I sat down on a bench after leaving the mall and then continued my walk. One of my favorite stores was Nocturne, which I had heard about from watching other videos. It lived up to the hype. The presentation was so interesting and unique. Love these miniatures. The accents and the attention to detail was so fascinating. The back of the store, they have a book section. Slewfoot is on my list to read this month. That was a miniature of their book room. As I was walking further out of the main part of the town was the Maritime Museum. I highly recommend going in there. They had some really cool gifts. And then this was in back of it. So I just kind of sat again by the water and finished my tea. There was a fine chocolate shop that, of course, caught my attention by having these decorated sugar cookies near the entrance. And then I really ventured off track and found this little section with these trees. This was October 4th. The leaves had already changed color and a lot of them had fallen already. It was very peaceful walking through here. I always love when people decorate their stoops. It just connects the energy throughout the entire town. The architecture on the homes was really beautiful as well. I was greeted by an old cemetery. Then I left and I stayed at an Airbnb that was in New Hampshire, but it was like an hour away and it was really affordable. It was like a little studio and it had this screened in porch that overlooked trees and it was just very serene and peaceful. I would recommend trying to stay outside of the super touristy spots. It was fine for me because the next day I was going to Ogunquit, Maine, and I'll talk about that in the next section. So hello again. I'm continuing this on a different day, and I have a little guest. This is Trina, who wants to sit on my lap right now. I had a wonderful time in Salem. Despite it being crowded, I really do look forward to going back when the crowds have hopefully died down and I can take it in a little bit more. If you are planning to go this season, I would say try to go on a weekday and go early. It seemed like a lot of the places were open during the week, so that might be your best bet at this point. But anyway, enjoy it for what it is and have a list of things I would like to see and explore a little bit more during my next visit. I originally thought I was going to watch movies that night and stuff, but I was so exhausted from getting up so early that I just pretty much passed out, I think by like 7 o'clock. I got a couple things at the local Target, and then I went back to my Airbnb and was fast asleep by probably 7:30. But anyway, it was great because the next day I got up early, left the Airbnb probably by 7:30. I went to the gas station, just checked the tire pressure in my tires, and headed over to Ogunquit, Maine. This was my first visit to Maine, so I was very excited. I really wanted to visit a couple of towns in Maine just because I was so excited to be there. But due to my time constraints, I also planned to go to Woodstock, Vermont on the same day, so I really had to pick one town. I'm excited to go back and see Kennebunkport and just further along the coast in Maine. Ogunquit, Maine was quite lovely. I spent a few hours there. So the first place that I went to was Mornings in Paris. Looks like they had several locations in Maine. This one, it was adorable. It was really crowded. If you're just looking for atmosphere and just to find a cute place to sit down and eat, because they did have crepes and stuff like that, people seem to enjoy it a lot. So I think if you're more on a budget, the greenery across the street had tea for like a fraction of the price. But anyway, I started my visit there and walked along the main street. So a lot of the shops are on the main street, which is called US 1. It's totally walkable. It's kind of a small downtown area. I went into the store called On the Main, which had lots of great little gifts. I highly recommend it. I loved the flowers and the landscaping outside of the stores. In addition to the beautiful fall foliage, I was just admiring the little touches of autumn accents that they had throughout the town. It just made it so festive. It's such a beautiful town. After I finished part of my bagel, I continued walking along US 1 to just look in the windows. This was a toy shop. My camera didn't quite capture the magnificence of this red, but it was really a stunning red. It was lovely. And then I stopped into a really incredible gift shop. What caught my attention was they had these paper bouquets of flowers. Because of cats, I can't really have flowers. My cats will try to get into everything. So I usually just avoid getting flowers altogether for that reason. So this would be the next best thing. Then I popped into Harbor Candy Shop, which was absolutely adorable. The displays and the special touches that they had throughout the store were really remarkable. On the same side of the street, there was a lovely tea shop that also sold homemade soaps. I think I smelled all of them. They were really incredible. Then I walked over towards the water. I don't think my phone quite captures how beautifully blue the water was that day. It was very peaceful, and I just felt like I needed to catch a few moments on the beach to just relax and to take it all in. So that wrapped up my visit to Ogunquit, Maine. As I said, you can see a lot of the town in several hours. I recommend staying as long as you can because it really was a lovely town. But I had to make my drive over to Woodstock, Vermont, and I just didn't want to get there too late. So I left probably around shortly after 11. And it was great. I felt like I got a nice introduction to the town, and I will definitely be going back. And I'm curious to see how they decorate things and how they get prepared for the Christmas season. I will actually end this video here because I'm going to spend an entire video just talking about Woodstock because I took a ton of pictures and videos for that. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Looking Up, and I will see you again soon.